Alright, so night everyone.
Good night.
We are here with another video. The title of this video is the broader heading, reasons why marriages are failing, and we'll be looking at selfishness and inflexibility. Right?
And this is not an exhaustive list, as we said before. There are many other reasons, but we are just here to name a few. And this is not any marriage counseling advice. These are just
observations, suggestions,
and
encouragement.
Yeah.
And in some cases, facts. Alright. So starting off, firstly, selfishness is basically putting one's self first. Your interests,
your will, your
ideas,
your interests.
Yeah, putting all of that first, right? Before everybody else and their likes, their interests, their needs, their safety, etc. Selfishness goes very deep.
Yes,
right?
They're insignificant to you. It's all about you.
Yeah, right? So basically, selfishness, it basically robs everybody around you of the good that you can do for them, the care that you can give to them, in a nutshell, right? Now, marriage was actually given in a perfect environment. So marriage, the concept of marriage is a perfect concept. As I said, the only problem with marriage is the two people in it.
Yeah.
Right? So if the two persons in marriage were perfectly converted, then you see just how perfect marriage is. Yeah. Right? And what it was meant to do. So marriage was given in a perfect environment. And now selfishness is the root of sin. So just imagine now you have something on the one side of the spectrum, way over this side, the very, very tippy edge, which is selfishness, and then you have something all the way over the other end, which is love, right? Marriage. So just imagine what's going to happen if you try to put the two together. Selfishness and marriage just doesn't work. Simply because
they're polar opposites.
Right? They weren't made to come together. Right? So just like how if you ever watch videos on YouTube where they put the Mentos with the Pepsi and it causes huge fizzing, they were just not meant to come together. Right? Alright, so we're gonna look at some manifestations of selfishness in marriages. Right? And as I said, this is not exhaustive, but we'll just look at a few. Alright, so the first one is tradition, right? So, interestingly, all of us have families.
Yep, because two families come together.
Yeah, during a marriage. And one of the reasons why two families come together in a marriage is simply because of that word, traditions. So, a person who is in their family will become over time used to doing things a certain way. Mm-hmm. So if it is a family tradition that we eat.
Example.
Yeah, so for example, if it's a family tradition that you eat a certain meal on Sundays, every Sunday.
Rice and peas and chicken, or for those who are vegetarians, rice and peas and
probably aki. Right? And that becomes a tradition. Right? And there are many other family traditions that people have. Some are things that are established, like people will say this is a family tradition.
Like for example, I wouldn't say this is as what you said, but some persons, like as soon as they finish eating, you wash out the plate, right? You wash the dishes. And there are some people, it don't really matter the whole.
They cannot make it stay for a while and they come back.
The night could turn into day and it's there. But there are some persons, as soon as they finish, wash it out.
Yeah. So some traditions are, established, like this is a tradition. Some things are more subtle. It is always done, but nobody really pinpoints it as a tradition because it's just such a regular part of everyday life, right? and that can, as I said, traditions can cover a wide range of activities, or when two persons come together, all the traditions that each person would pick up from their families are now going to clash in the streets. And selfishness is going to say that the traditions from my family that I like are that I think are superior to the traditions of your family, we're going to keep them. So this doesn't have to do necessarily with right or wrong or morality. It's just preference. So if my family used to do this way, then I would prefer if we continue to do that in the marriage. But truth be told, many times, majority of the times, a lot of the traditions that we get from our families will have to be either tweaked or broken to accommodate this new family.
Not only that too, it is quite the thing where females tend to carry the behavior of what they see their fathers do, right? And they expect that their husband should behave the same way. For sons, the mothers do things a certain way and they expect their wives to do such, right?
Yeah.
And these are some of the ways in which selfishness occurs, right?
Yeah, so we have to give our spouses room, and we have to remember that they are not our parent, right? They're different individuals with different likes, different, ideas, everything. I have to take them as they are, right? So when it comes down to traditions, you have to ensure that if it cannot be safely incorporated with the permission of your spouse, then it needs to be either altered or done away with completely, right? Next on the list is ideas. You have some persons who, you might come up with an idea and then your spouse shoots it down, right? And you have on the other hand, you have a person who come up with ideas, and because they think it's a good idea,
they expect the other person to be
go along
just as enthusiastic about it. Like for example, probably they want to open a business, right? They come from a family that is business minded, and they expect to carry that in, and everybody should get along, but it doesn't really work that way. Probably the partner is not business savvy, account savvy. So probably in things like those you have to teach, right? Be patient and teach. And if it is that the person is interested and there is a need for it, because sometimes we differentiate, we don't know the difference rather between what is necessary and what can be something, right? So for example, if the person is not business savvy and it is necessary, can patiently teach, but don't expect them to be just as enthusiastic about it or to see it the way you see it, right? And it can be the other way around too. Sometimes, and there's also the reverse, where because persons do not come from such family where persons are the ones that are good with the dollar. Every little idea come, they push it down and say, sure. And if you come up with that, and sometimes there's even a need for it, right? Sometimes you may be experiencing some financial crisis and they're just better with the money, and chances are that is what is necessary. But do not let, because that's not what you're used to, right? Probably you are a person where, in a family where every time you take out a loan, right? Whereas your spouse may come from a family that, they try to make money out of every opportunity. They're opportunists, right? And you have to just understand and work with it if it is necessary.
Yeah, so if you come up with an idea, don't expect that because the idea sounds good to you, your spouse has to agree and they have to take it, right? And if a spouse comes up with an idea, don't be quick to shoot it down. Listen to them, because you want somebody to listen to you.
Active listening.
Yeah, active listening. And then if you see flaws in the idea, you can develop it together, right? So it doesn't have to be a competition. Who comes up with a better idea wins.
I can even merge ideas too.
Merge
right?
ideas, right?
And sometimes by merging the idea, you come up with something
even better than what you
brilliant
individually would have come with, right? Alright, so next thing is
this is hot, people.
yeah, very.
I'm sweating like pig.
And then the next thing is you have some people who are very strong-willed, and this can be a huge problem in many cases where persons just have this high energy.
Yeah.
And this can come off a lot from cholerics. They're very strong-willed. So it's very hard to get them to change their minds.
Not my will, but thine.
Instead of saying that not thy will but mine. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, you have persons like that. They're very strong-willed, and that can really serve to even break a marriage in the long run. Because after a while, the person might get frustrated because they just can't get through to this person. They're just so stubborn. They just want things their way, and
they just go ahead and do their own thing. And sometimes decisions are made without the other person's knowledge, and they don't want to communicate to you because you treat them like a child, right? And probably you're harsh, so they just want to do their own thing and don't plan with you.
And on the flip side, right, you have some people who, because they don't want to be opposed, if they discuss something with you and they recognize that you're not really with their kind of ideas or way of doing things, they might just go ahead and just do it without you, right? And then when the person finds out, they're upset. So you did this without me, and then it cause a lot of problems. So being strong-willed can really affect the marriage in a negative way, right? We have to be peacemakers, and sometimes we have to sacrifice something that we may think is valuable to us for peace sake, right? Because they say if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, go together, right? So being strong-willed is something that's definitely not desirable when it comes out to marriage.
It's not good.
Even when it comes out to life in general.
Yeah.
Right?
It's not. If you want to work together as a team, if you want cohesion. Sorry. Don't miss that.
Yeah, I know. All right. So next thing on the list is interests. Yeah, and I think this is one of the big ones as well. So like you and your partner, regardless of how similar you are, there will be differences in interest. Right? Personality types. So some persons might be interested in, let's say, a lot of risky stuff. They like to do bungee jumping, skydiving, surfing, ziplining, whatever. Just an example. And some person might just prefer life on the safe side, right? Probably one spouse likes the fast driving, and probably one just doesn't.
I don't.
Right? So you find that when it comes down to your interests, if it is that your partner is not interested in the same things as you, instead of trying to force them to like it, it is best to allow them the space and the room to grow to like it if they wish to. You cannot present to them all the pros of your interests, but you have to just leave it there. If they choose at the end of the day that they just don't like it, then they just don't like it. Don't force them to become you. Because when you want to force your interest...
Let it not be your goal. Have the desire, but let it not be your goal.
Yeah, and we were reading this book recently, and that's exactly what the book said. We all have desires. We all have desires for our spouses to be like this or to be like that, to be more proactive or to be more outgoing or whatever. But let not your desire become your goal. Because when it becomes your goal, then you start to try to make that person into what you want them to be. And that's not safe.
It defeats the purpose of ministry.
Ministering to the person. So but when you make it just your desire, then you will, if it's something that you want to pray about, Lord, please help this person to be a bit more outgoing. I like to go out a lot, he doesn't, or, etc. Right? So we have to ensure that our desires do not become our goals. Because that's where selfishness comes in, and we try to
tweak them
into
that.
And
be
sometimes
the person you want them to be.
Yeah, and sometimes in trying to tweak them, we might even break them in the process, right? So when it comes to our interests, we have to just learn how to, and sometimes you might just have to do the thing by yourself. If it is that you love it so much, as long as you're not taking up the person's, taking away time from you spending, with the person and stuff. Sometimes you just have to do the thing by yourself, and not just be okay with that. The person just doesn't like the activity, they just not coming along. Just do it by yourself, or they're just afraid of it. Just do it by yourself, right? But not at the expense of the relationship. So you can't be doing it by yourself all the time.
Don't spite them now.
Yeah, don't spite the person, right? But certain things you just love, and that's just you. You've been doing that before you were married, and certain things you just really, it's just a part of you. It makes you happy, right? And if your spouse loves you, as long as you're not doing it to excess, they will allow you to do that thing that you love.
And probably they may grow to like it.
One day, just give it a try. Who knows?
Yeah.
Right? So when it comes down to
never.
Alright. So but when it comes down to interest, as we say, we just try to be kind. Just try to be nice. Don't try to force the person, coerce the person, guilt the person, manipulate the person to like what you like. They are different and God made them so. Right? Next on the list is prestige and abilities. Now, a lot of times, some persons have the tendency to use their talents or their prestige, probably their education, the job title that they have, and they use it as a stick. Every time when there's a disagreement or some undesirable situation comes up, they use it as a stick over their partner's head.
And they carry everything from the workplace or, their textbooks. Not that they cannot transfer knowledge, but you don't need to school your partner. You don't need to.
Yeah. So if you're a manager at work, don't come home and be a manager at home.
Be a husband.
Be a husband, be a wife. Right? If you're a teacher at school, be a teacher at school. Don't come home and be a teacher at home. You're a husband, you're a wife. Right? And if it is that you have certain abilities that your partner does not have, don't use that to make them feel bad. So if you're a really good singer and they just can't sing, don't make fun of them not being able to sing. Right? If you can play an instrument and they can't play an instrument to save their lives, don't rub it in their face. Right? Whatever you have that, is noteworthy, as you said, whether your job, your position, your talents, always be humble with it.
Yeah.
Right? I've seen this case once where there was this guy, his wife is a good singer. I think she sings in the choir, etc. And he was bent on learning to sing just so he could get up to her level. And in my mind, I mean, it's kind of good and all when you're trying to develop yourself, but I think that was...
Could be good gifts, but not so.
Not so,
Now with a malintent.
Yeah, right? But anyways, we all fall short in some way. Just have to pray
we're not saying that he has a malintent still, but...
Yeah, but regardless of his intention, that probably wasn't, in all honesty, the best idea.
Yeah.
Right? Because then comes the competition and etc. Mm-hmm. Alright? And then now we're gonna look at that three-letter word, sex. Yes, so selfishness can definitely come in here, and we're gonna touch on this more in
other topics,
other videos coming down. But just on the surface, it's kind of obvious how things can come in there. Sometimes, as I said, and the guys are especially guilty of it. Sometimes we only compliment our wives and say things to make them feel good and special when we want sex, and that's not good. Like, you have to make them feel special, speak nice to them at all times, right? Be friendly to them. If your wife likes to cuddle,
get it right in the day, get it right in the night.
Yeah, so if you get it right, perfect. If you get it right in the day, you'll get it right in the night, right? And then, the wives also have a responsibility to, avail themselves and not make a lot of silly excuses or my head hurting me.
I'm not in the mood right now.
Yeah, and
I
then
have no time.
and then she's gonna tell you that her head is hurting you, and you're gonna say, no, but your head's been hurting you for the last 2 weeks, because I've been asking for the last 2 weeks, and all I can say is my head is hurting me. You want us to go to the doctor? No, I'll be fine. I'll just drink some tea. You know, so
then after the tea, what?
you know, so it's like, yeah, it goes both ways. You have to be temperate and you have to be considerate, right? Don't ask more of the partner than they can give.
Don't give them more than can bear.
That too, right? So don't have the brother man a burn up one side and it's like, you don't care because I'm not.
And you ice up inside.
Right? And don't be, manipulative, drawing out her feelings, and then when something really happens that, has, let's say you're in a situation where you're not going to get any sexual reward, then you become, just cold or just don't care. And she was like, so where was this nice guy yesterday? And then you come up with some dumb excuse. No. Right? So where that is concerned, we have to be mindful of our partner. Alright, so we're going to cap it off there for this video. But as I say in summary, selfishness to a marriage is like roundup to weeds, right? Or grammar zone, for those who are more familiar with that, right? It just doesn't belong. It will affect your marriage in every way, and that's technically the root of why marriages fail, right? And in other videos, as I said, we'll get into more different aspects of different stuff. Hope you guys were edified, blessed. Something was said, encouraged. Something was said that you guys probably never thought about before. And just keep Christ in the center, and all will be well. So we'll see you guys in our next.
And please remember to like.
Yeah. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and click the notification bell. Alright, guys.
Out.